thank you all for coming. My name is Pratik, Chougule, working with David to organize this meetup and hopefully many more. I'm going to introduce our guest speaker, Anthony Nichols, in a minute, but I did want to say something very briefly about our sponsor, Manifold. I don't know if we can get the screen up, but...
Hey, River, do you mind just sitting this way a little bit more?
Oh, great. So I think maybe about half the room is familiar with Manifold, but what I wanted to mention is that David had mentioned and promoted Manifold's sweepstakes, the real money offering that they have. And I would definitely encourage you to get involved with that, hopefully make some money in a close election. For those who don't know, the core offering of Manifold is that they are really one of the pioneers of prediction markets but using play money, not real money. And what I want to say about that is, I came into this world, this industry, really being an advocate for real money prediction markets. I continue to believe that in order to have prediction markets at scale with a price signal, you need real money. That is the ultimate conviction when you were putting your own money on the line. But with that said, I have really also become a believer in not just Manifold, but the idea of play money markets generally. There are really two big reasons for that. The first is that if you have a play money market, you no longer really have to worry about regulation. So right now, real money markets are really under the eye of regulators, and that's why if you go on some of the regulated markets, there's a limited offering on what you can bet on because they have to worry about regulation. Whereas you go on Manifold, you can really bet on anything. There are all kinds of niche markets out there, everything from the highest geopolitical election thing down to people having markets bet their companies, their personal lives. It's really a fascinating world in that respect. But I think the other thing is that with play money, there's really a different currency on the line other than real money, which is reputation. So when you think about the kind of people who are on Manifold, if you're a degenerate gambler, you just want to get a rush out of betting some money on an election, probably Manifold is not necessarily going to be the place you go. But that may end up being a virtue in a certain sense, because what you have on Manifold is a community of people who really care about forecasting, and they're driven by other rewards. They're driven by reputation, they're driven by community, they're driven by other things. Now, I mentioned that because if you look at we're about a week away from the US elections. It's very close. You have polling looking to be about 50-50. On Polymarket, which is the largest real money prediction market by far, Polymarket has been quite an outlier. Right now, Trump is at about 65% or so to win. On play money on Manifold, you're seeing that they do also believe Trump is leading. The price has been a little bit less on Trump than Polymarket. And when you look at some of the state markets, you do see some price divergence. And so I think we are going to have a very interesting test case in the election, not only with polls versus prediction markets, but I think that when you look at the different prediction markets, the type of users they have, the type of money they have, type of all the other dynamics, I think we're also going to get some kind of a price signal, some kind of a sense of do certain types of people, certain types of crowds, certain types of traders with different incentives, whether it's reputation, real money, whatever else, which one comes out ahead. So I find, as someone, I have a couple $1,000s riding on the election, I'm very much paying attention to Manifold and other non-monetary markets to get a clue as to where the smart money might be. All right, let me just introduce Anthony really briefly. I want to make sure I have his title right. Anthony is an anthropologist by training. He is assistant professor at the University of Birmingham. He is here from the UK, and what I want to say about Anthony is this prediction market forecasting community, at its core, it's really an online community. That's where the markets are, that's where all the podcasting, the content is. But as you can see from the meetup here, I think we are in the midst of transitioning from a core online community, but now there's an in-person element. And so I've gotten to know Anthony. He is really a pioneering academic in terms of studying prediction markets, the forecasting community. He has a record of looking at the gambling industry generally. I've gotten to know Anthony because he's also a good forecaster, so he came on our podcast and has some good picks on the UK election. So I hope, in addition to hearing Anthony's talk today, he is an anthropologist, so he really wants to get to know our community, dive in, talk to people. So I'll let Anthony talk more about his research, but the more you guys can get to know Anthony, we'll have better academic research as well. But Anthony.
Yeah.